Are live. How are we all doing? I think I probably got maybe about, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Maybe an hour, maybe more. We'll see how many people jump in if we got any questions or anything like that. I'm gonna be completely candid with you. My life has changed so much. And I'm gonna start this with a little bit of like just like a little ease into this, and then we'll talk about some cool shit, and I'll show you what I've been working on. And again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. But like, I have a 6 or 7 week old child. It's about to be 2 months old. And I think that there's something about what has happened in my recent transition here as like kind of from just WordPress web design and in that field to agentic first. I was thinking about this the other day. The timing could not have been even close to have been better. Like I'm working so much more, so to speak. Like my output is so much higher now with what I've been talking about these last couple weeks. But my actual like mental health towards like actually working has never been higher because I'm not forced to do all of the work. And I don't know if this is like something that's like a foreign concept to everybody still or what the case is. Um, but I know like not a lot of people like understand this concept yet. And so that's why I'm talking about it in Modern Builder Society. That's why I'm trying to make more YouTube videos. That's why I'm one of the biggest levers actually now I'm pulling is like educating my clients on it as well. And they're starting to love the concepts that I'm putting in front of them. So it's all going really well. Um, but yeah, I try to reflect, weekly on this. And, the last couple weeks now we've kind of gotten this groove of like, okay, hey, I built the thing. It's pretty sick. Oh, I made some updates last week. I made more updates this week. I'm not just updates to the system too. Like this isn't like there's so many themes that I want to hit on. I should probably make smaller bits of content on all these, but like I'm just going to riff on a couple of them real quick. The first one is you have to be really careful that you don't get trapped in building out your system or doing the thing for yourself or and then not like working on the front end at all or not working on like the actual business part at all, like going out and getting clients and all that sort of stuff. Obviously still very important because you could build the coolest shit ever, but if you can't market it, if you can't sell it, or if you can't use it to do work, then you're fucked. I've done that in the past and I am not doing that now. Like this is connected. I know you can't see anything yet. I'll show you it all. But this AIOS that I've been talking about is connected to everything. And if it's not connected to something, it's because I replaced it and I brought it into the system. So I've saved money on, so I don't have to use different software, certain pieces of software. And it's going to be more because I wasn't using all of the software anyway. Like I wasn't using the full gamut of whatever the software needed. The SaaS I was using SaaS products that I was using at the time. So I just brought them in because it's really not that crazy if you logically minded, technically minded, and can articulate it, like, and you have no problem like continuing to maintain it, which is another thing. It's like there's a level of fear mongering that's going on about the maintenance thing. It's real, but it's not as crazy as people say it is. So I just think about this and I think about it week to week, and I mean it's changing the trajectory so quickly. I don't I'm not really writing emails anymore. Um, I'm orchestrating it through Claude Code. I'm not even creating products in Stripe or setting up invoices. I'm orchestrating that through Claude Code. Trying to think of like the most things that would resonate with you the most. I'm not editing podcast episodes anymore. I'm not bookkeeping anymore. I'm not posting like there's certain like pipelines. I talked about this yesterday on X. We do our biweekly office hours for Modern Builder Society. Like that video gets like basically recorded and then they send me an email. Circle does, the platform that the community's on. I have set up a pipeline in the AIOS to go get that video, download that video, transcribe that video, upload that video to bunny.net so I could store it there, like in, kind of like stream storage. And then create chapters and a description and a write-up for everything. then go back to Circle and post it in the replays channel or the replays space with, like the video. I do have the API is not perfect there. I do have to like, attach the video properly, but it gives me the link and I just like pop it in. I have the link. It has all the information there. Sometimes I'll tag individuals that were in the meeting, obviously. And then I press publish. But the amount of time that saves me with work that I would classify as grunt work, because I already did the hard work. The hard work is having the conversation. I mean, it's easy, it's easy to have a conversation, but the hard work is like having the knowledge, creating the value through the meeting or through the sales call or whatever. The thing you shouldn't be doing anymore is like remembering shit. Or fuck it. The thing that I'm not going to be doing anymore is like trying to remember everything. I record every call, I record every meeting, and 99% of it, unless it's not important, gets folded back in as context to my system now. And this is incredibly vital because then moving forward, you don't have to remember as much stuff. Like, you should still obviously remember key points, but you don't have to like analyze and remember every single thing. You don't have to take notes because it's taking notes. Your energy can be devoted towards asking the right questions and actually thinking about solutions rather than just like scribbling down what's going on every single time you're talking to somebody. And then because everything's connected, you have like one centralized location to handle everything from. Do I think Claude Code is going to be the centralized location forever? I don't know. It's a little clunky in certain ways, but I've made a great, I'll tell you today about, again, probably for the 18th time, how I handle this. If you're new to watching this. But I think sometimes it's like, over these last 3 weeks, it's only been 3 weeks, and I think, oh man, I'm saying the same stuff. It's like literally, it's this good that it has changed what I've done. And I'm not shilling Hermes. I'm not shilling OpenClaw. Claude doesn't pay me any fucking money to say any of this shit. Like, it's just, I just want to be honest that what happened to me was I was trying to find all these other solutions and I didn't really understand how the pieces fit together. And then I watched a little bit more content from some better, less hype creators. And then I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it because I was already creating the pieces. I just didn't have the centralized place for it. And then that's how the AIOS kind of was born. And I didn't come up with that idea too. Somebody asked me that. I didn't come up with the AIOS like moniker or anything like that. Like I didn't, that wasn't me. First time I heard it was from Leah Motley, heard it from Mansell Scheffel. I cannot take credit for that. I don't even love the name, to be honest, because I think there's a better way to describe it, but it is what it is. It doesn't matter. It's a name. So it's pretty cool. I'm loving it so far. I'll show you around and kind of talk about a lot of different notes and topics that we have. And yeah. Mark, what's up, brother? What's up? Mark, member of Modern Builder Society. Appreciate you, brother. If you guys are watching, links in the description. Go join. Got a lot of good conversation going on there. New resources and things like that. Learning all the time. Got to continue to pile it in there. It's just moving so fast. It's hard to keep up. All right. So, what I want to do before I share my screen, because I do have some cool stuff to share. Let me see something. I'm going to refresh. I want to refresh I know you can't see it yet. Why didn't you deploy it? Bundles. So I had tried something literally 1 minute before the stream. Okay, let me explain this to you. There is, well, actually, I could probably do this. Let me do this first. I'll do this. So this is mission control in the AIOS. Again, didn't really come up with those names, but I've heard so many other people say mission control too, so I didn't come up with that. But if you haven't heard this yet, and you haven't heard from me, like, I have a belief now that UIs are going to change tremendously. I don't want to be clicking around and moving shit. I just need something to be able to see, because I can't process written information, like just like text written information or like voice or whatever. That's not efficient. The most efficient way, until we get Neuralink, the most efficient way to pipeline information in your mind is literally something like this still, right? A UI. The most efficient way to get shit done is not clicking in a UI. Okay? I'm going to stand by this. And if you are really fast and your hands move at the speed of light and you can fucking do a bunch of stuff and you can type and do all that, God bless you. But I use Whisper Flow for input 99.9% of the time. I use UIs in this manner now, which means like I'm just looking at the information to process it. And then like I'll have whisper flow like, like triggered, and I'll be talking about like, oh, move this here, change this, whatever. There's very few times, I'll give you real quick, I'll give you very few times where that breaks down. And the only time that I could think that really breaks down is literally yesterday. I had a podcast. I did a podcast with Caleb Ralston. If you guys haven't seen Caleb Ralston, you should go check him out. I'll be, once the AI is done editing that, which it gave the first pass, I got to QA it a little bit. I had a podcast with him, and I was trying to like do the thumbnails, like, and every time it's like a different size, like head on the thumbnail and stuff. Let me see if I can just like pull it up for you real quick, just so you kind of get a vibe. Because I do want to make this point, because everybody is like, so it took people so long to realize that like UIs are not going to be used the way that they have been used before. And I'm just like, in my mind, like as soon as I saw this, I was like, there's no shot that we're going to be clicking and clacking shit for the the millionth time here. Let me see if I can pull up. Where's this at? I think it's right here, Caleb. Yeah, cool. Let me tell this thing. Open. Oh, can you open, or what's the link to our like HTML tool with the thumbnail? Can you give me that link again, or open in the browser? So I'll explain this to you here. Where is my shit at? There's so much stuff I want to talk to you about. Is it gonna do it? Ah, there it is. Okay. Okay. Whoops. Hang on a second. I know you can't see it. Processing episode. Ah, there we go. Give me that full path, you bitch. All right. So let me explain what's going on here. Oh, it already opened it. Great. All right. So here's the deal. I do these Fueled by Progress podcast episodes, right? So I built a pipeline. I showed it off in a video where I basically take my video, the guest episode, the guest video, guest audio, and my audio. I bring it into, I literally just download it on my computer. I say, hey, go do the shit. It took a few days to get this pipeline down, but what it does is literally goes in and it outputs a DaVinci file, a DaVinci like FCP, XML. You can use it otherwhere, but like I take that and I put that in DaVinci, and then I'm able to like tweak it a little bit, but it has all the cuts done. It knows how I want everything laid out from like the intro standpoint, the hook, all that sort of stuff. And also that pipeline also generates thumbnails. Now, the thumbnails for certain things, I think there's kind of two thumbnails. There's like really artistic, like, almost like AI generated thumbnails that you can do nowadays that look good depending on how you prompt it. And then there's like more like things that don't make sense to AI generate because they're kind of templated in a way. Currently, the thumbnails for Fueled by Progress are very templated. Like literally, this is, did it not open? Where's that? There is a like the template that I have it like programmatically basically create with HTML and then take a picture of, because side note, that is kind of like the best way to handle it, is something like this. There's text over here, there's the name down here, there's the FBP logo up here, and then there's person's face here. Okay, cool. So this is like kind of, a decent look, feel, whatever. But sometimes, especially the first time I did this, the image that I gave of Caleb was really small. Like it was like the way that it was placed was small, because it doesn't, it's not like necessarily going to know exactly where you want it, how you want it. Like you could even make an argument, maybe this should be slid over a little bit more, or this like artistically, this whatever the fuck, this gradient thing should kind of be slid. I don't know, right? It's all subjective. But the point is, this is the one area that I will absolutely give pause. And I will say that this would probably be a micro tweak that is actually a pain in the ass. So the last 3 episodes, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I can't show you exactly what it looked like at first, because it's not saved anymore. But just imagine like Caleb's head here, like being like his top of his head being here and it making no sense, right? Just because of the sizing and whatever. And it's a different size image for him that, isn't, fully doing it from like the last episode or whatever. So I say, listen, wait a second. I've gone back and forth with you on these last 3 episodes like 6 times. And this isn't efficient for me to try to be like, hey, can you move his head a little bit to the left? Like, I have no idea how many pixels I actually want to move this to the left or up or down or scale, right? So I was like, I remembered in my mind, like when I started doing this one time, I was doing like a thumbnail generator very early on, a couple months ago. And for some reason, I wanted to do a templated structure rather than an AI generated one. Because again, this, you have to understand, this is not AI generated. This is templated. And then it's screenshotted effectively, more or less. And then it ends up being a thing. It's like written in like HTML and CSS because that's very malleable. And then it's screenshotted at the appropriate resolution. So important to understand. So when I'm here, I was like, all right, let me go back in my brain, because the very first time I tried to do this, it made me, just by accident, it made me like a whole little UI to adjust every fucking little element that we had. It wasn't this template, it was a different template at the time, but it had like text at the top, it had like an image, and then it had like my face. And it gave me all these different tweaks. And it was like, it opened it up just in like my browser, and it had like a whole sidebar of like whatever. And I was like, wait, at the time I was like, well, this is way too much shit, because I don't want to be able to make these micro adjustments on everything. If I'm going to do that, I might as well fuck go into Canva, but I'm not going to do that. So the only thing that I really need changed in a situation like this is just, sometimes I want to be able to move the face around to be a little bit better. So I said, hey, and this is an example of like using AI to create a tool that isn't you're not recreating like Canva or Photoshop. You're recreating one small little micro thing that does not need like heavily maintained by any means or anything like that. It's just a little utility. And in this case, it was a little UI utility. And I said, hey, all I want to do is be able to move this head. Like moving forward, like let's just create a little utility where, you know, you'll take care of all this, because like this is very standard. Like we could change text and stuff like that, obviously, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to tell you to do. And you have all this stuff, and it automatically gets generated. But the thing that I need to input on is the head. So then it made this little guy, which I don't know if I can actually zoom in on this. Okay, there we go. So like now what I can do is let's stop doing that. I can move him around. You see that little bar on the bar on the left-hand side? I said, make me something that I can just rearrange easily. And again, I get it that this is close to like a Canva type vibe, like where you just like, it's not Canva. I'm not saying it is Canva. I'm saying that like, this is borderline. Why the fuck would you do this when you could just go do this in Canva? I get the argument. I don't think this qualifies entirely, because I'm not doing enough shit here and I don't need enough shit here where it's like, okay, bro, you just basically recreated Canva, right? So I get the argument, but I would say that this is not there yet with that, but I'm always cognizant of that. So it's a good point. But my point is like that you could just go like this now. And it's like, okay, I love it there, right? And I copy these values and I tell it, and it's like, this is what I want it to look like. Boom, done. We're done in one instance in 2 seconds, rather than me telling it to fucking move it around. I'm going to be honest with you though. This is very rare. I've used this a lot. I've used AI and I've orchestrated it a lot at this point. This is a rare instance of needing to do that. It happens a lot with like specific images, and you could make an argument that like, you know, I did some, let me see if there's another example. This is just one instance where like I want it, like it's, first of all, it's somebody else's face. So like, I want to make sure that it's okay. You know, and I'm going to make sure that it's, it doesn't look like shit. But the other thing is, I'm trying to find the example of, literally today, one of my pipelines is schedule a live stream. Is it an intake? No, it's in, I think it's in the pipeline now. No, it's in the modules. So I had it do an AI generated image, like the thumbnail of this live stream is AI generated. And, dude, where the fuck is the output? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So like, this is another example. Let me just give you another example. So like, this is the thumbnail for today. And then I have it add this supplementary. So like, it goes out to GPT 2.0 images or whatever. And it does this, like it has like access to my faces. It can, you know, push a face in there, say, hey, put this over here, do some text, whatever. And it prompts it, right? Now, you could make an argument that a lot of times, and this is what I mean, is like the templated one is like, I know exactly what I want to do. I just need a little utility for that. The time that it actually happens more, and I've made a video about this too in Modern Builder Society a few months ago, is with image generation, like AI image generation, real AI image generation, like where the whole image is generated with AI. Like this isn't templated. This wasn't in HTML and like screenshotted. This is like actual, like came out of ChatGPT, right? Now, if you're gonna do that, first of all, honestly, I would argue that I don't want to go too crazy, but that's honestly in a lot of cases probably not the right move because this is there's a difference between thumbnail. I don't want to go deep in thumbnail design, but like if you guys, it's not about thumbnail design though. It's about like using AI to create images. This actually, I like the templated approach more because one, you have more control over what's going on more directly, and you don't have to like play the slot machine game on the AI thing, in the AI generation. But like, this is what I mean is like, this isn't malleable enough for me in a lot of times, right? So the only way to make images that are genned like this malleable is to like, that I've seen no good implementations, maybe there is, of frontier model company, inpainting. If you don't know what inpainting is, inpainting would be like, this is an image. I can't fuck with anything. Like from a, like a text perspective or HTML, CSS, like I don't have any of that. I literally like, I want to change this to the word like, instead of operational, I want to change it to finance or something. And it's like, you can actually, because I've experimented with this locally, because local AI image gen is actually, it's not that it's better, but it's like more, it's like there's more tools for some reason. I don't get it. But like you could come in here and you could select just this operational part, right? And you could say change, like you could basically prompt it to say like change that to like say finance or something. And what that'll effectively do, okay, I'm not saying like completely technically, I don't know the exact technical like terminology, but what that effectively does is it doesn't regen the whole thing. Because if you ever did that, if you ever say like to ChatGPT and you say, hey, just change the text up, it's going to regenerate the whole thing. It's probably going to make it look worse because it's generating from like a source that it generated. It's very weird and doesn't make a lot of sense. But my whole point is this Inpainting type of thing. You could do that a little differently. I know I'm down like a complete rabbit hole with this right now, but that's my whole thing is that to go back up the rabbit hole, where we started with all of this was that I don't want to create things where I'm really recreating the wheel. That said, there is, in my belief, a very good time and place to recreate shit when you don't use all of the functionality of whatever you're using, or when you need a very specific use case. And that is literally like 99% of the value of using AI to create deterministic systems. So there's a fine line there. And I will be talking in future podcasts. I know a lot about this because, and just in videos in general, but in podcasts, because I got another episode lined up with Lars Fay. If you guys have ever heard of him, he's got a lot of stuff that he's done, but he's also had a viral blog post that Theo T3GG read called "Agentic Coding is a Trap," I think. So he's got some interesting opinions. But that was like from a comment on Matt Medeiros on the WP Minute. Like he was talking about like, why would you stand up like a whole e-commerce solution when WordPress and WooCommerce exist? I have some thoughts on that for sure. It's probably not one-to-one, but it is a good example of the fact that if something does exist, maybe don't recreate the wheel, just because if you're pragmatic about this, your time is valuable. So like certain things make sense to recreate if they like don't exist in the format, or if you're paying too much for a solution that you don't use the entire extent of. I think that makes sense. I've done that several times. I'm going to continue to do that. But in a lot of other ways, it could be just unnecessary. So I know that was a long ramble on that, but and it all stemmed from just like this little thing right here. But that was just one way that I solved that problem. So yeah, kind of cool. Now going into something else. Let me go back to the face. I'll look at the chat here in a second. I see we got a couple messages. I want to show you a couple things. Also, like if you're here and you want to speak, you know what would really help me? It would help me if you told me like what you do, or not necessarily who you are, but like what you do in the sense of like, what are you actually trying to use AI for right now? Are you just like, because I know a lot of my audience was like WordPress, like website builders. And if you still are that, that's great. If this helps you, I hope it still helps you if you're like on the fence, but like I'd want to know like what you actually do, like what is the core service that you're offering or that you're trying to offer or whatever. Where are you at with AI? And if you have literally any specific questions, like just throw them in here and I will do my best to like answer them. Or like even just a topic and I can kind of talk about some of that. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the AIOS here, but I just wanted to surface that because I think that would be really great because this came up a little bit with Caleb yesterday. We didn't go deep into it, but like this idea of there's this idea that a problem that I have where like I project and I think that everyone knows all of the things that I know, and I'm not trying to sound like I know everything there, but like there's a lot of things that I think are probably like trivial that other people are probably like, oh my God, that's actually like really interesting. And I never thought of that. And that could really help me. I have a lot of that shit to offer, but sometimes it's hard to like know where to actually, go with that, like which topics to hit on. So that would be really super duper helpful. Let me read something here off screen because 1 minute before this, I started talking about this. 1 minute before this live stream, I tried to do something with the AIOS and I have like a privacy blur right now, but I wanted to obscure the data and like I don't care if you guys like I show it all the time. Like I don't make a lot of money, I don't think. And I'm fine with showing those numbers. I'm fine with showing the numbers in aggregate, and I'm fine with showing like ultimately the clients in a way, because I think unless there's NDAs or anything like that, like they're gonna be case studies, you know what I mean, on my website at some point. So I don't have a problem showing either of those things exclusively. But the one thing that I don't think I can show yet is, or don't think I should show necessarily, it's not even me, it's just more like out of respect, is like how much each client has paid me. You know what I mean? Like, and that data is in there. So I want to like alias and obscure that. So yeah. Let me see, like, because I'm trying, I have like a demo data thing that I worked on. One thing I did not do, I didn't deploy template bundle. It's forward facing. Okay. Preview locally. Let me see. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're confident that this is working here, yeah, it's just for preview purposes on like streams and stuff, so that doesn't really matter. Um, can you deploy it? And then if it's messed up, we will revert. Great thing about like software engineering or agentic engineering, if people are gonna get mad because I say software engineering because I'm not writing any fucking code. Like if you understand how things work, it's actually not scary at all. Like if you use the proper methodology, which again is probably not widely utilized enough, but like if you use like Git, right? And you don't even need it. Again, like people would be pissed off about this. You don't even really need to understand how to use Git technically, but if you understand what Git is, like Git and GitHub ultimately, most people use, you can version control your shit. Meaning that like if you make some changes right now and then you commit them and you push them to GitHub, and then ultimately if it's connected up via your hosting and deployment, it goes up there, it goes live like on your Vercel or Cloudflare or wherever. If you do that and you understand how that works, then the next time you make those changes and you change stuff, whatever, then you can, the next time you make those changes, then you have a version 2 now and a version 3.0. I forget the version, versioning is not important, like the actual numbers, but my point is like you have the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? And I think it's just, it's the way to go from, that's how everyone uses it. But my point is that it's not as scary. And if you make a mistake, you could just be like, okay, let's revert that. Let's go back. If we have to like, go back in the version history or whatever, or like, it's just, I don't know. It's just not, it's not scary. You know what I mean? Everybody tries to make it a little scary, but, I'm just looking before I share my screen to see if this actually worked. I think it did. Fuck. Okay. Almost. Let me make one more change, but I think it's probably fine now. Let me make one more change and then I'll show you this here real quick. Hey, real quick. So that actually worked really well, but you did a little too much. You don't need to do the testimonials. You don't need to alias the testimonials. Yeah, that was an oversight. You definitely don't need to you don't need to do the testimonials. Um, you don't um you definitely have some subtext in like the projects that is still subtext in the projects and subtext in like the check-in and stuff like that. That is all that is like that shows information basically. So it'd be great if you could just like maybe just not show that or blur those or something when we go to demo mode. Um and the transactions, you did not have to change anything in the transactions. You did not have to obscure anything over there. That was also unnecessary. So yeah, hopefully that gets us to where we need to be. Yeah. So basically, there is, so I can show you kind of what's going on here. AIOS, it's pretty dope. It's got the new look and feel to it here. Last time I streamed, I didn't have this UI on the left here. um, I mean, I don't. I try to. I have a difficult time like making. I have a difficult time like kind of like segmenting out and like kind of like just describing information in bite-sized pieces because there's just so much here and I think it's all valuable, but it's hard to like, you know, compartmentalize and show you without like specific questions. So what ends up happening is I try to tell you like everything, but there's way too much to tell you at one time. So it's just kind of a problem. But basically since last week I've done some things. I changed the UI up so it's now on the left-hand side, like kind of the the navigation and everything. I think that's better. It was weird before; it just had tabs kind of towards the top. It's got some interesting information, just kind of across the very beginning thing in their main command center situation there. Um, the one thing I was actually, I'll bring this up is earlier today, I had a deal that was dormant for a little bit and came through, and then I executed on it. Like I was able to say like, okay, I'm gonna run the card basically, right? So I had the deal, and then I was basically like, okay, here it is. Like it's a whatever. It's not even it wasn't even in the pipeline. It was just kind of like dormant. And it went basically from dormant to one, like WON one. And I was like, okay, do that, right? And then I was like, note that I literally, I'm not kidding. This is what I did. I said, hey, I got to charge somebody some money. Go to Stripe, make this, product. They're already in there, so create an invoice with them as the customer, the product's in there, da da da, whatever, and then draft the invoice. Let me look at it because I don't trust you fully yet. But it could have done it. It could have just charged them. And then I looked at it. I clicked the charge button. It was good. Then though, I was like, okay, well, also make sure you're in the AIOS, make sure you're updating everything. And you can kind of start to automate this a little bit more. And it kind of does it, but I got to make sure that I train it a little bit better to be a little bit more proactive on those steps. But I haven't done enough reps yet to have it be like, okay, when we're doing this, like we're ultimately going to need to do these other things. So imagine that you took a deal, right? So you get into the one column, right, of your deals. Well, one example of what happens sometimes is it makes a little bit of decisions on your behalf. So it made another column called paid needs fulfilled, right? And I do actually kind of have that. I don't know if it's still, I kind of have that. This is the Szymanski media pipeline. It's a different pipeline, obviously. I have like paid needs fulfilled down here. This is the consultancy, like the actual like agency-ish type stuff or whatever. So it made another thing for this deal that I'm talking about and made another column and said paid needs fulfilled. I'm like, hang on a second. Let's nip this in the butt right now. We're not going to do that because this is the sales department, right? In one way, shape, or form. This is the sales department. Once we have sold the thing and we have the money, it's no longer in the sales department. It's in the fulfillment department, right? And the department thing is like a euphemism. I don't actually have departments. It's all me and AI. Okay. But my point is that I don't want it in the sales area anymore. I want it in the fulfillment area. So then I was able to say, like, hey, bring it down into projects, right? So now it's in projects. So my whole thing is like a couple motifs. One is that if there's something that it's doing that you don't like it, then tell it to like do it this way and document it so it doesn't fucking do it that way anymore. But also, this is another piece that like, mechanically you have, this is why I say like it's important to understand how systems work and how flows work and how business should work. I'm not saying that I know everything, but like that's one of the things is like, okay, great. We have this area now. And it's like some people, real quick aside, people on the internet, on YouTube especially, they go back and forth about this bullshit of like, oh, why are all these people making like little fucking like Pokemon style looking bullshit of like, oh, like little office environments and like here's the accounting guy, here's the sales guy, here's the fulfillment guy, here's the HR guy. I don't think you need all that. However, the fundamentals of business like still stay. It's like if you sold the thing, it's no longer a sale concern, it is a fulfillment concern, right? Honestly, like content as an example, in my mind in the pipeline, content actually always comes first because the way I market, I like market organically. So like I don't have sales without content in a way. It's oversimplified, but you know, um, and then you would have fulfillment, and then you'd have that, and then finance would be on the back end because if you don't do any of that other shit, then you have finance. That's how my mind works sequentially like that. But the whole point is that you're segmenting it out, right? And that might seem like standard and straightforward when you have fucking QuickBooks over here and you have like your WordPress thing over here and you have your maybe some sort of CRM that you have over here. But I'm telling you, dude, like my shit is more complex than yours. I would almost guarantee it. And I'm not flexing. I made it way too complex years ago when I had like a holding company and multiple other things. But like, if we go to cash flow and we look at this, right? Like it's Motive 11, Samansky Media, MJS Industries. This is a parent company that I have. And then it owns these two other LLCs. These are 3 LLCs right here, right? I'm not giving you business advice on that. Like that's, I've done that in the past. It's 6 and 1/2 dozen in some ways, whatever. But my point is that the whole thing here is that this is probably more complex than most people, and it's working great. Okay. Like if you want to know the deep dive on this, again, the key unlock for this whole thing to replacing QuickBooks in a legitimately like not a hard way was SimpleFin, SimpleFin. Just type that in. And that's like something you pay for like monthly. It's like $1.50. And it just, you crank in all of your accounts, like from your bank accounts and your credit card accounts. And then it's just like, it's an aggregator of, it's kind of like a Plaid in a way, but like it's a consumer version where you can put it all in there. And then it just feeds the transactions over, right? So you just have all the transactions. And the idea here is again, like that's feeding it in. And then this just gets stored in a D1 database in Cloudflare. And then you just have all your data, like, and you can just do whatever the fuck you want with it, right? So, if you don't want to do this though, okay, like, last thing I'll say, then we'll look at the chat. We'll talk about some other stuff, and maybe the demo data fucking thing will be done. And I could show you what I meant there, so I don't have to blur everything. I could just like show you my idea, my secondary idea. If you don't want to do all this shit and you don't want to figure this out and you don't want to figure this out for yourself and then potentially clients, don't fucking do it. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, don't do it. Don't. If you don't want to become a little technical, and I'm not saying syntax technical, I'm saying like understanding how everything works together technical, and like the reality of like what software you're using and what, like if you're building websites, like what type of language at least you're doing and what things work together, what things don't work together. If you don't want to do any of that, I would recommend don't do it. But I would also recommend don't listen to anybody that's fear mongering you into thinking that AI is like the worst thing ever and it's trash. Because a lot of what I'm actually doing here is not relying on AI. I'm relying on AI to build a lot of the things, but the things that I'm building are very deterministic in a lot of ways. Like a lot of what I'm doing here doesn't rely on AI to like operate. It relies on AI, like it relies on somewhat of AI, like right now for me to orchestrate it. But again, like AI isn't going away. Maybe Claude, something happens to Claude or whatever, but I could just turn to local AI and maybe be a little slower right on my machine here, right? And I know that's the future because all these companies are trying to make open weight, open source models that run on machines very much more efficiently and smaller. So they fit on shit that's not like big graphics cards. So I'm not saying this doesn't change over time. I'm just saying it's working great and I'm happy about it. And if you don't like it, then God bless you. Do whatever you want. All right. Let's go through this. Okay. Is that like the PewDiePie AI? So Odysseus. Odysseus AI. I'm gonna be honest with you. I watched the video on this. I have not used it because if you wanted to use this, like I would say like you could, but here's my quick riff on this, okay? Randomly and respectably, but randomly. I don't know why he decided to make all this, but this is dope. And I think that the concept of this is great. But here's the deal, okay? And I understated this, actually, what I'm about to say, and PewDiePie in that video at least definitely understated it, but he was trying to explain like what he built. None of this stuff, all of this stuff is cool. It's all of it's cool and it's helpful, but everything here is like a feature or a tool or something that like, a lot of the stuff is like, he explains it well in the video. He's like, why do I love Claude and whatever? It's not because he loves the LLM. He loves the fucking tools that he puts around it, like the memory, the skills, all that sort of stuff. A lot of these platforms all are having this now. And I went into this in depth in some other videos and other live streams, but here's the thing. Everything, and this is why it's so hard to explain, everything that's in here, you can pretty much do with Claude Code or whatever. So if you want to use this, that's great. But I'm telling you, if you go try to do this, or if you go try to use anything, I did not start by saying, oh, I want to build this thing that runs my life. That's not what happened. I started, and you can look months ago, I started with building personal and business context around everything that I'm doing, because that's the whole fucking thing. Like there's a bunch of context, a bunch of markdown files, a bunch of information that's jammed into this. Okay. This is obviously, like I said, a little bit more like I don't know, rough around the edges or human made or something like that. I mean, I guess he vibed his own thing up too or whatever, but like if you like look at this, right? So you go like my entities, like I have MJS Industries, Motive 11, Personal, Semansky Media. Like there's context within each of these about like clients and like other context about the business and things like that, right? There's a ton of shit in here. Like it was just like I ripped out like all the shit from my Notion. I don't use Notion anymore because it's just a fucking markdown holding thing. All of this is files. Like you have to understand, this is literally files on my computer, right? Like it's in here, and then this is what that is. It's just files. It's markdown files. I can read it really well, right? That's what that is. So that's the first key. The second key is understanding how this stuff works. And here's the thing. This stuff is so new that like I tried Hermes. I didn't try OpenClaw. I didn't try Odysseus, but I like knowing how the structure works. That's just a me thing. So maybe it's not a you thing. If you want out of the box, go try that. But I'm still telling you, you need your context. And then the other thing you're going to need is you're going to need your connectors. Now I know this thing probably has like pretty good connectors, like tools and MCP essentially. Like MCP is basically the same thing. But like, look at this. All of these things that I have right here, all of those things are connections to software that I'm not getting rid of mostly. Maybe I get rid of some of them, but like I'm not getting rid of Stripe. I could probably get rid of the Senja one because I did actually cancel Senja and I got all the data out of it and I didn't need it anymore. God bless Senja, great product, but like I wasn't using 99% of what it was offered, so it was a waste of money. But like Transistor is where I host my podcast. YouTube is where I make YouTube videos. Like what is inside these folders right here is scripts effectively, right? Like I'm not going to tell you that I could have wrote this, but all it is in and of itself is either MCP or API connections that inside of my individual entities, I have environment variables, and those are API keys, more or less, right? Some of them are a little different with tokens and stuff, but they're just API keys. So let me try to give like a decent example. I would try to use Google because Google is like straightforward, like as far as like, oh, it makes sense that you'd want to use Google, but Google is kind of a pain in the ass to actually set up. But I am going to not give you a tutorial because that's not the business that I'm in right now with the Google shit. But I'm going to try to explain it very, very simply because I'm trying to finish the answer to that question about Odysseus. Regardless of what you use, you need to connect your shit. So in Google's, for instance, like you need to create that connection. You don't have to necessarily man make it if it already has it, but if it already has it and it doesn't have what you want, then it's like now you have shit that like is kind of bloat. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, is nothing in this system is bloat because I orchestrated all of it. And if I don't use it anymore, I get rid of it. I haven't gotten rid of some of the stuff, but that's the idea, right? So that was me. Maybe that was a weird thing to do, but I still think that like in this almost end game, I feel like of not of software, but of like certain technology, I feel like it's just the play to not bloat the fuck out of what you need. Because again, like I'm moving away from certain SaaS things because I don't need all of them. So why would I get an AI system SaaS that I don't need all the shit for? This is also the reason I haven't like open sourced what I've done here, because I don't actually believe that you should do that because there's no real need. And the last thing is I didn't want to create like a Hermes equivalent or an Odysseus equivalent. Like I'm using Claude for most of that stuff. Like I don't need to do that. I need the context and the connectors and the pipelines or skills. You know, I got to figure that out myself because I'm not technically using skills right now. But like that's the whole thing. So that was probably a ridiculous answer, but the whole thing is that you need to be able to connect to your shit that you're not going to do. Like you're not going to rebuild. I mean, he fucking did. He built an email client, but you need to be able to connect to that stuff so you can come in here and say like, hey, I want you to, I'm going to have a, some sort of event. I need you to go to my circle, post in my community about this event. I need you to go to my email and I need you to send an email out. And then to a couple people, the organizers, Then I need you to go to, my bento and send a big email out to my broader email list. And tell me when you're done, or in my case, probably what I would do is say, tell me when you're done and I'll review it and then I'll send it or whatever. Like, I know that was just a bunch of gobbledygook, but the point is like, that is how I work now. I don't know a better way to explain it. I could show you more examples, but like, I don't know a better way to explain it than that, because I'm connected to everything, because I have context and I have these pipelines of things that I want to do. I can just like but it's all very like, it stacks. Like you don't start here. There's no fucking way to start here. You don't know what you're doing yet. You don't know what like you have to do or what things you're gonna have to do. Like these modules, like they're going to continue to grow over time. Like I was like, oh, I need to generate some chapters at any moment, so I want to have a quick little thing for that. And then I had this concept where like the pipelines pull from these. I don't really know if that's the best way to do that, but the point is that you need little deterministic ways to do certain things, because you're not actually using AI to do a bunch of shit. You're using AI to build the tools to do certain things that are more custom for you. Really depends on your business application and shit like that. But if you work with companies, then you find out this stuff constantly. Like you'd be like, oh, you guys need to do that? Well, I could definitely build something for that. I mean, if you were just, if that was the thing, like I could have Claude whip up a utility to do this, or like a pipeline or whatever, a little custom CRM to lead situation. I got a lot of shit that brewing right now for clients. So I'll continue to show that. But yeah, hopefully that answered it somewhat. I don't know. Mr. Beast thumbnails ass. I can't speak. Mr. Beast thumbnails suck ass. Not gonna lie, they are a little weird. All right, we're sold. Okay, fantastic. Is this a Hermes tutorial? No, you're on the wrong channel, James. Thanks for being here, though. I don't understand how you use Hermes, man. I mean, if it works for you, God bless. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle not knowing what was going on. I felt so blind. I still have it installed. The other thing is like, just real quick, because you guys probably don't know the workflow, right? I'll try to be quick because I know it. Here's what I do, right? I come in here, I say, let's do some shit, right? Hey, let's do some stuff. This is a test. Just tell me that you're ready to go. So I'll say, hey, let's do some stuff. Okay, whatever. And this is a new session. This is VS Code. This is Claude Code extension with my subscription. Boom, cool, whatever. So this is what I do. So again, for the 15th time, I'm working in here. It's got access to all this stuff. It's got access to everything on my computer because it's running locally right here on my machine in those files. It has access to everything, bypass permissions, all that jazz. I have a laptop over there that SSHs in. You don't have to do it like this, but I SSH into this machine, like literally down here. There's a little remote window thing. I have VS Code open over there, and I literally use that as like a window into seeing these same files over here. Um, which I could use the Claude Code app on my desktop, like my laptop over there, but I just don't, because honestly I rarely do it, and I like this interface, and I like being able to have all those things up there and see all my files. A lot of people don't fucking see all this, and they don't care about all this. I care. If you don't care, God bless you. But like I care. I want to see this stuff. Because the other thing too is, like, when I'm in the middle of doing something, I want to be able to just I want to just be able to open this. Like, right. So I'm in this middle of like I showed earlier, like I'm in the middle of doing the FBP production. I want to be able to just go to these things. And this is an IDE that I'm probably not using the most of, like from a developer standpoint, but like I like the idea of being able to like look at markdown files or other files like this and be working right here. And then I would say like, hey, change this text to something else. And it would just like, kind of like working on a website. I mean, and again, the point of a website or a UI in general, like it could actually open that now. I don't know if that's a newer feature, but I never saw it like 2 months ago, where like VS Code has a little browser in here now too. It might have always had that. I never noticed it, but I like that. Okay. I'm probably not using the extent of an IDE doing that, but that's that. So then anytime I want to, go upstairs or, walk around or anything like that, then this is what I do, right? I go / remote control, one thing right there. And then now over on my phone, I have a bunch of sessions on my Claude app that I'm logged into, and I go to the code section, and then I have, you see that? Oh, you see that? No, won't focus. There you go. See, ready to go. What's working on? It's the same thing. Like here, watch this. I'll say test. Also have whisper flow on my phone because I don't type. So like I said, test, and now you can see on the screen, that was my input from my phone via remote control in the Claude Code app, and now I do the back and forth. I mean, it's a great experience. Like literally, I was searching for this for such a long time, and I know some people are going to be like, "Oh, just fucking use Telegram, man." Look, I got banned from Telegram for no reason. I'm not kidding. I don't know why I got banned. I tried to get reinstated, it didn't work. I think it was literally because I had my phone number in there from years ago, and then I changed it because I got like my personal line went to Verizon, or had personal, and then I got a professional line to Verizon. I tried to change it, and I just can't get access to that anymore. Nor would I want to be on Telegram though. Okay. I tried Discord too. That was a pain in the dick. Like this is great for me. When I'm working on this stuff, I want to be in the work area. I don't want to be distracted by other fucking bot fathers and other bullshit. Okay. I want to be right here. So this works for me. If it doesn't work for you, then okay. But that's what I do. And it's been working fantastically. I'm able to do it from a bunch of different places, and it's great. The one thing, and Mark Moran here, brought it up actually in Modern Builder Society. He's working on some cool shit. The one bottleneck, and I had a conversation actually, Mark, if you're still here, was funny, is I took his post in a nice write-up about how he's kind of doing everything basically remotely, like on a box. Basically, it's like on a server. Like you have a lot of this on a server, and then you access it from any other device. I wanted to do that, but then I was just like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to focus on that, because I think that's going to, for me, my workflow that I just outlined, this is good enough. But this all runs off of this computer sitting to the right to me, and it doesn't turn off. Like I don't turn it off. If I do turn it off, then I lose access to this stuff. It's all backed up to Git, but it's not like I wouldn't have direct access. I'd have to clone it. I have to whatever. So that's not ideal. Like the remote control, obviously stuff would go away. I wouldn't be able to access here or on the laptop. Need to work on that possibly long term, but I don't care enough about it right now, because it's just not that big of a bottleneck for me in the way that I work, because I'm mostly at this desk like 90% of the time. Although the remote control phone thing, I slept on that for a long time. That is the shit. Hey Mark, hope you're doing great. Starting working with Claude Code. I'm quite happy with it. Do you think they'll increase the price soon and reduce what we can do for what they pay? It's a great question. It's a big debate. I can't tell the future. I can only like just guess. What I think is ultimately probably going to happen is, At some point, if I'm being extremely pragmatic and not rose-colored glasses, it doesn't really seem like they're making enough money to give us all the subsidy stuff that we're getting, like thousands and thousands of dollars. I pay $100 a month. I don't even pay $200 a month, and I never hit the usage limits. What's my usage? I think it's this one. Guys, I'm using this a lot. Like, I still don't understand. I'm doing something wrong. I'm definitely like still lightweight. I'm using this a lot, and I've talked to so many people. These people are hitting their weekly limits. Like, it's actually hilarious. Like, if you're hitting your weekly limits all the time, I hope to God, I don't want to be an asshole, but my reaction is I hope to God you're making a lot of fucking money, because like what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't, right? Like, you paid for it. Technically it's subsidized. Get your bag, man. Like, get your money's worth. But I'm saying, what are you doing? Are you just having it run random Fibonacci bullshit sequences or something like constantly? Like, there's probably a lot of efficiencies or a lot of things that I could do with my extra tokens. Maybe I have to figure that out, but I'm absolutely not getting subsidized as heavily as everyone else is. But at the same time, if everybody's fucking literally writing code to like, oh yeah, if there's ever any single, if I have like 100,000 tokens or whatever, like a million tokens left, that's not a lot, but whatever the amount is, in the last day, I want you to just fucking burn them, like literally do whatever. Like, if people are doing that, like, that's not going to be beneficial for everyone. I think that realistically, there's a couple things that I could say I feel somewhat strongly about. I think that AI is not going away. I think the concept of LLMs are not going to go away. I think the concept of an LLM is probably not even necessarily the end game, because people do have half decent arguments when they say it's basically like predictive, it's like glorified autocomplete in some ways. I don't entirely disagree with that. I will say though that there's a huge swath of people that think this shit is not as powerful as it is. There's literally people in psychosis. Then there's complete deniers. Then there's people that hate it. It's actually really interesting. This whole thing has been super, super interesting from a psychoanalysis perspective. Like, in a lot of ways here, like there's actual psychos, which God love them. There's actual psychos that think the shit is like way more powerful and way like otherworldly than it is. Okay. I actually wanted to make a video about this. Because I had somebody in my comments say that I was in AI psychosis, and they've obviously never looked and they've never seen somebody in AI psychosis before, because like there's content on like X and Facebook and shit where people are literally talking about like fifth dimension fucking bullshit. Like, I'm using it to build deterministic workflows, motherfucker. Like that, like that's mostly what I'm doing with this thing. I'm not using it to be my fucking therapist. I'm not using it for any, like, I'm using it to build fucking software that works. You know what I mean? It makes me money, makes my clients money. It's like, whatever you want to say, that's fine with me. It's crazy. But anyway, so that's the first thing, is there's people in psychosis. There's people that hate it just because I would lump them into like anti-AI in the sense of they hate that it's stealing their work, which is, it's an understandable argument. I think humans have been stealing other humans' work forever, or taking it as inspiration, and I think that the problem is really like how fast and how good it can steal work now, or how well it did to train it all. But I mean, that is such a mind-numbingly unsolvable problem to me that was already inherent in humans, that I don't, it's not even a fight that I ever even thought of. Like, I get it, but it's like one of those things in life where it's like, I'm not even gonna entertain it. Like, it's a total waste of time in my mind. Not because it's not right necessarily, but it's just a total waste of time. So, that's that part. Where was I going with this? I was trying to like ultimately shoot back to like what's going to happen. I think that ultimately it's not going to go away, because we have, open weight models now. Like, people are going to be able, even though the hardware is expensive, like, there's open weight models, you could do whatever. Do I think that like we might get rug pulled by Claude, ChatGPT, whatever? I don't know. I'm personally trying to prepare for that, though. I can tell you that honestly. Like, I've realized that this is so powerful, and I'm able to move so fast with a lot of this stuff while still like doing good work, at least my definition of good work and my client's definition of good work, not, Smokey Joe, the developer of 25 years that every fucking line has to be perfect. I can't speak for Smokey, but for me, I think that the only thing that I really care about right now, aside from my family, is making this time as prosperous as possible that I can. And I'm honestly not doing a great job, but like I'm starting to do a better job. Meaning that we have it now, instead of worrying about if it's going to increase, which it's a valid concern, but instead of me devoting any time to thinking about that, use the fuck out of it right now. Preferably to build things for myself that could scale and build things for my clients that could scale so I can make some money. So it's like we're in the gold rush. Like, let's not worry about when the fucking gold is going to end. Like, we're going to get to the end of the gold mine. Let's just get the fucking gold. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at, because I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think AI is going to go away though, so I'm not like super concerned about it. If anything, if I was going to devote my energy to anything else, it would literally be going deeper on local. Like the cycle in my mind right now, if I had to predict my own actions, because that's the only thing I can kind of predict, would be make as much money as I can right now, which again, you saw my numbers, it's not that much, but we're trending heavily. Best month ever last month, $26,000. Not recurring, but all in revenue. If I could like plan my trajectory, it'd probably be continue this, make money with this system because it's working, and I don't see the prices jacking up for me anytime like immediately soon. Could, but I don't know. But then as I get there, purchase potentially some more hardware because that's getting more expensive. Use those funds to potentially purchase some more hardware to kind of like counteract a little bit of what I'm getting here. Although I'm sure I'm using way more, and most people are using way more than they could fit in their PC or on their Mac or whatever they might need. You might need like a whole, like small GPU farm in your fucking, house moving forward. But assuming that's like feasible and cheaper, which I think in some ways it is, it's not cheaper right now, but cheaper on the whole, then maybe that's a way to go. But that's if you were going to spend any time, if I was going to spend any time outside of doing what I'm doing, it'd probably be trying to get more closer to me, get the actual inference closer to me, because that is a lot of the power. And you have to rely less on everyone else. To be clear, again, everything else that I've shown here, right? Let me go here. Everything else that I've shown here, all this shit over here is not AI, right? It's not AI. It's most 90% of it is deterministic flows that I built with AI. So like, again, right now, maybe I should ask, hey, I got a question for you. I'm doing a live stream right now, and I have this thought process in my mind that in the AIOS, most of it is deterministic stuff. So like, let's play a game. Imagine I lost access to AI tomorrow, and I couldn't have you do more work for me, and I couldn't have you do inference. A lot of this stuff still kind of works though, right? Or I could modify it slightly before that happens to make sure that it still works, right? I mean, we built a lot of deterministic stuff here. It's not like I'm always telling you, hey, do this, and and you're just like inferring a bunch of shit, right? Be honest with me, like what is there like a percentage if you just skim through like the architecture and everything? What's the reality of that situation? I could be completely wrong. I don't know, but I'm fairly certain that like I would have to get, like, if AI literally died tomorrow, I'd have to get more technical chops, obviously, and handle a lot of this, but I don't worry about those things. I don't, because that's something to, I don't choose to worry about things that I cannot inherently control with the whole, whatever, the future state of everything. Yeah. I know that maybe for some of you guys, this is really like not not surprising, but there is a real problem right now. It's like, oh, let's build a website with AI. It's like, okay, well, you can build it with AI. That doesn't mean the website is AI. Might have AI tendencies or pieces into it, potentially. Or let's build a workflow with AI. That doesn't mean that it's going to be all AI. So um, it's just maybe again after you get to a very quick certain point, then you realize that that's actually maybe not the case, and you realize that is the case, and like it's not. Most of it is deterministic, but yeah. We'll wait for that to do our due diligence for us and our research, but yeah. I think there's a follow up there. Like most products, at first it's great. Once we have the habits of using it, becomes a bit dependent. The quality decrease and the price increases. Could, yeah. I mean, I don't claim to know. Like I said, pretty much everything that I have there is kind of like where I'm at right now, and that's all I can do really, is just kind of tell you what I'm thinking about. We'll let that keep running and let me rip through some more chats. Appreciate you guys. Love this. We're playing around with hot swapple, for lack of a better term, AI systems, LM and your AIOS to see what they potential better than Claude. So this is a good question, Mark. Here's the deal. I had to do this one time already. The other day, if you guys are Claude users and you remembered, was it on Friday or something? Someday Claude went down. Apparently Claude goes down a lot or something, but like it actually went down. Like I couldn't do anything, and I was like in the middle of doing something. I was in the middle of doing something like admin related. I was trying to dissolve like an LLC, and what happened was instead of clicking this orange button, I clicked this white button up here, right? And I went to Codex. I try to be really careful when I render opinions on things because I don't have nearly as much experience. I have 1/100th the amount of experience with Codex that I do with Claude. I didn't like it. Like I didn't like anything about it. But again, it was a minor amount of time that I used it. It was just not as verbose. I think I was using 5.5. I gotta let me see something here real quick. I might be able to kind of just like show. I know you can't see this. It's like loading something. I don't like the UI is all weird too. It's like on the sidebar. So there's probably another way to handle it. It won't even load for me right now for some reason. I'm just getting like the logo. I was trying to see if there was any chats or anything open. Okay, I don't know what's going on there. But my whole point is that I don't have a lot of experience with Codex, and I'll be completely candid with you. I'm not saying this is the truth, but I built this system. All right, I orchestrated the building of these things. It's important to know the reality, right? I built this thing on the left-hand side to be deterministic, which we'll look at here in a second, as deterministic as possible, but also hot swappable in that sense, because I didn't want to be locked into a Hermes or an OpenClaw. I know you can switch the inference there, but I didn't even want to use their structure because I still feel like that's a little bit of a lock-in, because like it's .Hermes, it's all this shit, it's whatever. This is literally just files. Like, I mean, you could, like, anything could understand this. A human can understand this, right? So a machine can understand this, like any sort of runtime, like whether it's Claude Code, Codex, whatever, could understand this. So what I did was, and this is an unlock, because you're like looking at this and maybe like Claude, it's Claude.md. That seems like it would only be Claude.md rather than like agents.md or whatever. But the point is, it doesn't really matter. It's a markdown file. Like if I opened Codex and I said, hey, listen, I want to actually use Codex from now on, I could just look at this stuff and I'd be like, hey, listen, I know there's a Claude MD. Just take the shit out of that, duplicate it, call it agents MD, and it would do that. And then here's the key, right? A lot of people don't know this, surprisingly. All these chats right here, they are literally on your computer. Like the JSON, where I think it's JSON. I could be completely wrong, but like all this shit is stored on your computer and it's referenced right here. And you could go open any chat that's in the past and you could bring it up and whatever. I was very confused on that for a while. It's literally in your users Mark S in my case or whatever, and then .Claude, right? So all that information is in there. When I literally did the other day, when I had this problem and Claude was down, I went into Codex and I said, hey, listen, I'm working on something in Claude. I had a chat going. I gave it a little bit of understanding of what it was, again, like dissolving LLCs, whatever. And I said, I want you to go to that folder, that .claude folder, and I want you to go look at the JSON data because it's not like it's proprietary. It would be hard for us to like just read it, but like the machine can read it. The LLM can go read it. So I was like, go look at that and get yourself brought up to speed. Done. Like fucking knew exactly what was going on. It was like, I was literally in the middle of something here and I was getting the 500 errors. So I went over there and I said, just, can you pull this in? Can you remember? And then also, by the way, there's some information that's over in like our context area and everything like that. There's some connectors and shit. If you need to go if you need to go to my Google Drive and grab anything, you can go do that. Go do that, Codex. I know you're a guest in our house right now, but go do that. I trust you. I fucking hated the output, honestly. I don't know if I didn't have it on like verbose mode or something like that. I didn't love that. It was very not this. It was like, a worse experience in my mind, but I'll take blame for that because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing over there. But my whole thing is like, I proved the idea of, I'm not saying this is the only system that could do that, but I proved the idea and like I saw it for the very first time of like, oh, wait a second. I just have files on my computer that are decently organized that make fucking sense and have, connections to things and whatever. And this machine that the whole, like it's the fucking best part about this technology is synthesizing and understanding data. Who fucking knew? You know what I mean? Like it's like mind-numbingly it's mind-numbingly obvious to me and maybe you guys, but not so many other people, especially ones that criticize it. It's like just set your shit up in a way that's easy for the thing to understand, just like you would with a fucking person that you were bringing on your fucking team, by the way, which I don't understand what. There's like some sort of something. We got to find it out. It's like some sort of like AI. It's like reverse AI psychosis or something where like you don't think that there's any parallel between the way that these things work at all. It's like new person, Sally Joe on the team. It's like, hey, just go do the job that I'm telling you to do, Sally Joe. Okay, what the fuck do you think Sally is going to do? She's going to do a terrible fucking job because you didn't tell her how to do it. But you expect the fucking AI to be magic and know exactly. It's mind-numbing. It's literally mind-numbing, the arguments sometimes. But anyway, I digress. To answer Mark's question, I use Claude because I like the experience and everything like that. And I like the way that everything's rolling. But you could use Codex. You could use something else. At some point, I'm going to have to use a fucking open weight model, I'm sure, because the price may go up or something may happen or Claude may be down and somehow Codex is down or something like that. The only thing difference there is how hard the brain is going to work, I feel like, and how, depending on if you're in the runtime or whatever, how that experience is like. But yeah. So let's answer this hero question. So it ran that analysis there. Honest number is about 85% of the AIOS survives the day AI disappears. So I counted 48 real components. 77 is fully deterministic, runs untouched forever. Every connector, entire store state, all the money layer, scheduling backbone, real work modules, 8% downgrades gracefully. So the morning brief, state reconciler, the state reconciler too, real quick on that. That's like every night, I'm still tweaking it, but like every night it would like go through, it would look at my contexts, right? My connectors, it would look at my email, look at my projects, it would look at my, my ClickUp DMs and all that. And anything that it didn't grab before to update the state of the projects and the deals, it would update that automatically. That's literally like having like a VA, like doing your shit. You know what I mean? So that's pretty dope. Chapter generation. Okay. 7% actually goes dark. So AI thumbnail art, obviously. And then the DeepGram default transcription, but I'm pretty sure Whisper is literally like a local way to do that anyway. So, yeah, AI glazing me, says I built it right. Cool. I didn't really come up with all of it, but I'll take a little bit of credit there. So, but this is actually a good point here. You didn't build an AI system. You built a deterministic operation system with AI sprinkled on the edges for polish. Built it with AI, right? With AI, not. It's not just AI. I know I call it AIOS, and so many other people do, but buzzwordy. So yeah, I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we ran that little experiment. James got a halo. It's literally the same thing you have going, apparently. Okay. You can just look at the folders and files, see what's going on. Okay. Never dove in that much, but I like this, so I'm gonna keep rolling with this. Nice. Appreciate that, Mark. Looking forward to seeing that. What's up, PK? How we doing? Thank you for being here, Mark. Thanks so much. John, what's up? What's up? Mark, do you know if there's a simple way to use Claude as an orchestrator in ChatGPT to execute things? I heard this is the best combo currently. I mean, let me think about that. I mean, I'm sure there's an answer. I mean, I know there's an answer like in the Hermes land and all that sort of stuff. Like you just do it. Like you just connect both of them up. The problem again with that is, are you still not allowed to use, also, one other random thing. Are you still not allowed to use your subscription in those, your Claude subscription in those? Like, does Claude still hate that? Like Anthropic, do they still hate that? Because that's a huge deal. That's a huge deal breaker for me. So that's one other random thing. But if you could use that and you wanted to use both subscriptions, I mean, I guess in this case, I could use Claude for the orchestration. I'm not sure why we'd want to do that. I feel like I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm not trying to sell you something here. I'm just saying that like I don't really I don't really I can't I don't want to say I don't agree with it. I'm super skeptical of the amount of like I have yet to hear a good argument about why I would want to use multiple different models for multiple different things in certain cases. Like for instance, I can't use Claude to generate those thumbnails, the AI ones, not the template ones, because Claude doesn't do image generation. So when one thing is actually better or literally capable, another one isn't, that makes sense to me. Some of this is personal preference though, and some of it is like benchmarks that we're not really sure if they're actually, just kind of like BS at this point. But like to me, I can't imagine using Claude as the orchestrator and then ChatGPT as the executor. I'm sure I could do that, but then the problem becomes I'm trying to think how that would work in this system versus like Hermes. Like with Hermes, you can hook up your OAuth, for OpenAI. I'm sure I could actually do that over here too. So maybe that's an example. And then I just tell it to use it. Fuck it. I'll just ask. I'll just fucking ask. Okay, good. Separate question real quick, just because I don't know the answer to this question. This is what I do when I don't know answers to questions. Hypothetically, if I wanted to use my Claude inference that I'm using right here to orchestrate stuff in this system, don't do any of this. I'm just asking you. And then could we OAuth into my $20 per month ChatGPT subscription and then have you run that as the executor of certain things, like maybe the execution of like coding or something like that, or specific things. So think of it like I tell you to be like the head agent person, and then you tell Codex or ChatGPT or whatever to do certain things in certain instances. Like, is that possible? What's the lift on that? How would we actually do that? I'm gonna be honest. Even explaining that, I think it's fucking totally overkill. I know what you mean though, and it's not a criticism to you, John, because I know everyone does that. Fucking Alex Finn, they all have this fucking these profiles in Hermes, and they have like HR, they have fucking whatever in this, and it's cool. Like it's cool, but like, why are we doing this? Like I know why we're doing it there. Because you can't use your fucking Claude subscription. Like if you use the Claude API for everything, even if you're using Sonnet or Haiku or whatever, you're still gonna be paying some money. But if you try to use Opus, fuck, you'd be out of business in 2 days. Like, so I get it, but I don't get it in this context because I'm using Claude for everything. And I don't have a reason to personally, but maybe there's a better reason. I just think that the one thing I would be careful about is the one thing I am being careful about now is changing shit that isn't completely broken in a certain way. Like I haven't gotten any bad in my mind. I don't really think I've gotten any bad inference from Claude. I've never had a situation where like it can't do some sort of like coding task or some sort of whatever. Now, am I looking at every bit of the syntax? No. So maybe somebody could tell me, oh man, this is fucking, there should be a semicolon there and fucking function here and whatever the fuck there. But like, I don't know. I haven't had that experience. So that's probably not a good answer. But real quick, what's the answer to this? Answer is yes. It's basically the same pattern already used in 2 places. OpenAI ships Codex CLI, signed with ChatGPT. Da, 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 okay. Has a headless mode built for this. I know for one thing though, this is true, that Codex, what it's saying here. Imagine if you built this system heavily on Codex. Like if I was in Codex and I wanted Codex to be the orchestrator and Claude Code to be the executor of stuff, I think, pretty sure that's way fucking harder. Like I think that's hard. It's harder in the sense of like it's more money because you'd have to call out to the API every single time. But I think in this case, it would be sort of better in this way. Like it'd be easier over here and it'd be less expensive going this way rather than the other way. I think if it's still right, I haven't watched any more content on this, but okay, one more thing. If you flip this around, okay, knowing what you know, and if you do any research, if you flipped it around where you're doing it in Codex, for instance, you're orchestrating in Codex, but then you want to use Claude Code for the execution of things, that's definitely way more expensive, right? Because I don't think Anthropic allows you to use your subscription, your subsidized subscription for stuff. You would have to use the API, right? And you're literally saying that Codex does not do that and allows you to use the subscription. I'm almost certain that's the case. I don't know. I think the bottom line to this first part is it's possible, but I don't have a reason to do it. But if you try it and you think it's fantastic, let me know. While that's doing that, let's see what James has to say here. I think we should hop on a call sometime, maybe even record and compare AI setups. I watched a bunch of your content about AIOS so far and haven't seen a difference between it and Hermes. That could be true, man. That could be true. I don't care though. I mean, I'm already this deep, so I don't care. Also, it's pretty cool. So, but I'm happy to do that, brother. I appreciate you. In static. I heard about that. Who told me about in static? Who the fuck told me about that? Somebody told me their friend made that. I'm blanking. In static. This is the CMS, right? I see Paul has already made a video. Oh, yes. Okay. I saw this thumbnail and I didn't see it. And then I saw somebody. Did Elijah make this? Not sure who made it, but guys, you're gonna hate me. I don't know enough about this. Okay. I don't. I haven't looked at it yet. I looked at it one time and I didn't scroll this far to see Elijah's face because I remember seeing this and I didn't see it initially. I gotta make a video on this. Fuck. Look, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna kind of like say it a little more. I don't know. I know that like James is gonna tell me that like I'm a hypocrite for saying what I'm about to say, but I'd have to go deeper because I genuinely don't think that I rebuilt Hermes here, but you can think that. I really am starting to see a somewhat, I guess it's not a problem. I'm literally trying to think about this right now. So let me just quickly do this here. I don't think the solution I don't well, there's a couple of things. I don't agree with most of the solutions that are being built, and I also think that we're building the same fucking thing. I think everyone is building the same fucking thing in, like, the slightest fucking different way possible. And I just slammed in my desk. I know again that, like, what I built here isn't novel, and I don't claim it to be novel. I claim it to be custom for me, and I'm not trying to give it to other people because, like, I literally don't think it's useful for other people. Like, I think the concepts are useful, but I don't know. I don't know what the world is gonna turn into here when we constantly have everyone and their mom making a new CMS platform every other Tuesday. I don't know what's gonna happen there. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Working thought could change. I actually think that I actually think it's borderline more this is a hot take, okay? And I haven't fully thought about it. So I'm just gonna say it. I think it's borderline more irresponsible to download something that's like open source and self-hosted. Again, InStatic is just the example that's in my mind right now. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I don't know anything about it. I'm saying the concept of this in my mind that I keep seeing. I feel like it's almost in my opinion, more irresponsible to download and utilize something like that than it is to make it yourself in some cases. Because think about this. If you're not a technical person, then you're going to download something else somebody had and you may like, are they always going to like, what is the fucking, I didn't understand this the whole time I was in WordPress. So, educate me if you need to. What is the fucking incentive for anyone to continue to utilize that thing or to continue to maintain that? At some point, you're going to have to pay for whatever that is. And we shouldn't be anti paying for stuff. But I just think that, like, there is a, there is like a certain line that, like, we're it's like this had to have existed in other areas too, like in other areas of life, like maybe when like cars were becoming more more normalized and like bigger. There was probably like a bunch more car companies, I'd have to imagine, and some of them just fucking failed. Like I just don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just build and maintain my own shit, my own custom shit, because if I don't maintain it, if I don't build it and I don't maintain it, I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. I just I can't get behind the idea of like not understanding what the fuck is going on with something like that. And I know that's a CMS and it's kind of like whatever, but I don't know. It's a real weird issue that we're seeing right now. There's a lot of things like popping up because everybody wants to get like the next. I don't know what everybody wants. I don't know if they want to be the next WordPress. I don't know if they want to be. I don't know if they're just looking for projects and they think it's cool. I'm not talking specifically about the InStatic team. I'm talking about like who I'm talking about everything. Like I've seen like the InStatic stuff, the M dash stuff, the um like my buddy Julian Galuzzo, like the Ship Studio stuff. Like these are all like good things and like they're cool. But I think the other fundamental belief that I have is that it's just like like there's still so much emphasis on this concept of like doing some things manually or needing to do the things manually, and I don't fully get that. I don't know. I'd have to sit with a little bit more. I like I said, I that was just the thing that kind of like I don't know. I don't know. It's just a weird. I'd have to think about it more. So sorry that those are not good in static thoughts. Those are just where I'm currently at with thinking about this. Um, Real quick, let's go back to this. Just so we can close the loop on this thing. You're already using cloud subscription programmatically. That's not what I meant. Oh, it's a policy risk. Yeah, so they might. So I guess you can use it. Is it still you can use it, but you might get. Mm, I don't know. Apparently you can, but it seems like but nobody still knows. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Is what it is. Don't really care. Saying about anything, I'm just thinking it would be interesting to see if we can find any differences, limitations between the setups. Yeah, I mean, I'm down to do it, dog. What business updates are being done live? Yeah, we could talk about some shit here. Let's talk about some stuff. Let me see. Let me flip back here for a second. Let me see if that fixed that. I think it should be fixed now. I pretty much aliased everything, so I had the privacy blur thing. I actually have a really, if you guys build websites, I have an actual good idea for you. And I'll share with you in a second. Let me see if my demo data works real quick. Whoops. Nice. Fuck yeah, dude. Whatever. All right, this isn't ideal, but it doesn't matter. Okay, you kind of fucked up that too, though, dog. Hang on a second. One more thing we got to do here, and I'll show you the other thing in a second. In the command center, you need to blur the in the demo data part. You didn't blur. You blurred it for projects, but you didn't blur it for sales, like the subtext part. I just love this so much. Okay. So I'm gonna give you an idea here. Okay, if you build websites, I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but here's what I'm doing now. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm doing, and you can either tell me I'm a fucking idiot, or you can be like, "Wow, it's a good idea. I'm gonna steal that." Steal it. I have 2 websites I need to build right now for clients, and they were built in website. Well, they were built in WordPress a long time ago. They were built in Webflow actually, and then I converted them to WordPress in Elementor way back, and then now I need to rebuild them because the brands have changed and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to show you what's going on, but I'm going to tell you the reality of my situation. I am not building websites manually anymore. There's absolutely no fucking shot. I'm not building most stuff manually anymore. I'm orchestrating it, and I'm not building it in WordPress. Let me say it differently. I am building extremely limited in WordPress, if at all, ever, because I don't think it's the right place to build marketing websites. I'll be completely honest with you. 90% of the time, I don't think it is. There's definitely reasons to. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying you should never do it. I'm saying, like, for me, 90% of the time, definitely not. When my clients love WordPress and they love working with it in the back end and all this other stuff, I would consider it. And if I was going to consider it, I probably wouldn't do anything other than like Etch, because I know that I pretty much trust Kevin and his team more than anyone else to like actually put out a good product there. But still, that's not something that like I'm, like Etch connector and stuff like that's interesting. I just haven't had time to look in it. My flow now is just working too well. I don't know what else to say. Like, I literally just tell my fucking Claude agent to do whatever the fuck I want it to do. I barely have to give it anything in current projects, because it can go get the information, and it just works. I don't know what else to say. So in this case, though, there's a real situation. Okay, let's talk about this real situation. I'm consulting with a bigger agency that does, hundreds of thousands of dollars type websites on this type of thing, and I am still obviously making websites for my clients. So what am I going to do? What's the reality? Well, I never designed websites. I never, ever, ever, ever went into Figma and moved shit around and did all that stuff. Never happened. Just never did it. I'm not a designer. I only had one person on my team. I never hired a designer to build websites. I was either rebuilding a website that was kind of like close to all the websites I've done. I either rebuilt websites that were close to what they were, or I used like inspiration from other websites, or I didn't really ever use templates, I don't think, but I would use like some sort of like starter site thing in the past. And you don't have to do any of that anymore. I don't care what people tell you. You do not have to. You can, if you want to design, fucking design. Okay. Yours will probably be better if you're a good designer, right? I'm not saying it's dead. I'm saying you don't have to. So the reality of the situation, and this is an important one, okay, to understand and tell your team, tell your people or whatever. The reality of the situation is that the websites that you create, first of all, there's some come to Jesus moments that we have to have. But the reality is that the websites that can come out of Claude now are not all garbage, trash, blue and purple gradient buttons. If somebody keeps telling you that, please tell them to shut the fuck up or go figure it out for themselves. What? Because it's not like that anymore. You can get it to do whatever you want, okay? But you have to tell it what you want. I don't understand why that's still a hard thing for people to understand, but you have to tell it tell it what you want. You have to tell it fonts. You have to tell it colors. You have to tell it design aesthetic styles. You have to tell it how you want the header to be, how you want the buttons to look. You don't have to do it all. You have to tell it, okay? Or you can have it make some decisions on your behalf, right? And then you can QA it. So anyway, all of that said, there's a problem. The problem is, at least that I've found, is that when you have an established design workflow, it's still pretty hard to get it into dev. And I'm not going to tease you here. I don't have a solution for this. There's like the Figma MCP, and then you can kind of like bring it in and tell Claude like, hey, I tried this the other day, like a nicely designed Figma document, apparently like well done too. Like, it had all the information. Not just like, not all, I don't think it was all like absolutely positioned. I think it had some level of structure to it. And then also the, like the assets and everything. And I brought that into Claude and was not able to like perfectly reimagine that, which is upsetting. Maybe it could do a better job. Like I tried it a few different ways. I could probably get it to do a better job. I think towards the end, like going section by section almost like maybe helped a little bit, but I wasn't just dropping in screenshots. I was actually dropping in like, MCP data and stuff like that. Like it was grabbing it out of there. So that's an option. I'm sure somebody else has a better workflow for it, but I'm going to make an argument. And my argument is like, if I can tell Claude what I want well enough, I can actually design faster and more efficiently than I could over in there anyway, over in fucking Figma anyway. That's my hypothesis. Maybe you think it's incorrect. That's fine. So let me just show you now what I did in this case for these two websites, because I don't have a design flow and I don't give a fuck about that. I know what they want. I know kind of the brand that they have, and I know and they gave me some information of what they want. So why don't I just take this as an opportunity to try some cool stuff? So there's two websites. And when you look at this, the whole point is not to think about the actual design itself necessarily. It's to think about like the concept and then what you could do with this, right? So let's look at it. So what the fuck are you looking at? Well, you're looking at an HTML file that's like a mockup file. Like this is a new concept that I just thought of. I'm sure I'm not the first one to think about this, but I have the power of Claude in my disposal, and I know roughly what they want. I know kind of they gave me some good messaging. They gave me some video content. They gave me all this stuff. I know roughly what they want. I know their colors, stuff like that. What I don't know is I don't know what they feel. Like you ever ask a client, like, what does this look like? How does it feel? Like what kind of website you want? They don't fucking know. Like all they know is like what they could see elsewhere and maybe use as inspiration, right? So we could go do that. And the other thing we could also do is like give them something to look at that feels more like them. Even if they fucking hate this, at least it has their stuff on it compared to other ones. And you could start to kind of feel a little bit about what this would actually look like. So I'm going to do this from now on. It might evolve, but this is what I'm going to do. Every time I have a new website, I'm going to give me as much context as you can. Give me your logo, give me your colors, give me a little bit of the vibe. And then I'm going to go to Claude. I'm going to dump all that context in, literally what I did. I put it all it's all in a context folder inside of my AIOS Motive 11 clients context there, right? That's where it's at. All that context is in there. Then I start the project in the AIOS, and eventually I'll move it over into projects. But I say, hey, listen, stand this project up, do all this stuff. And I have all this context for you. Here's what I want you to do, Claude. I want you to create me 6 home pages with that information. The copy does not need to be perfect, okay? The colors should be on brand, or we should pick some colors. Like it should be consistent, so to speak, from a branding perspective across these home pages, but it should not look all the same, right? There's obviously some tendencies and things that like kind of are a little similar here, but like, I don't think anybody would look at these websites and be like, oh, that's AI. They all look exactly the same. And if you do think like that, it's probably because you've looked at too many websites and you know instinctually, deep subconsciously, like in your heart of hearts, even though you don't want to admit it, all fucking websites are pretty much the same. Like good websites, they're all pretty much the same. That's why they're good. Okay. So we need to have a heart to heart and we need to realize that like this is a creative industry, but it's kind of commoditized. And honestly, the good quality websites are not like the difference between like the best website ever and like the what's the way to say this? Like the best website ever and like the like even like an average website, I don't really believe is like that crazy of an actual lift because it's just the limitation of what a website is, a marketing website, right? Which so many people that I talk to and have talked to in the WordPress realm, like that's the real problem. It's like it could do all this stuff, but a lot of people are barely even fucking touching it, and they're just taking 2 months to build shit in fucking whatever builder that they're building in because they're just taking like so long to just like. And if you like that process, I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying don't don't deny the fact that there are other ways to do shit now and way faster if you wanted to. So I made a couple little tweaks to this like little thing here that I could send them where it kind of does this shit where it like does that whole thing, right? And stuff like that. That's kind of cool, whatever. Just so they could look at it, but then they could also click to it. And wait a second, this is a whole ass homepage that they could go look at right now and kind of get a little bit of a vibe to it, right? So in one way, this is like taking like multiple templates from like an Elementor or something like that and doing all, can you imagine how long this would have taken if you would have dumped all that information, all these different templates and done all this? It would be mind numbing. But now this actually does two things for me. And I haven't shown this to the client yet. Okay. So I'll keep you updated on how this works, but this does two things for me. In addition to them like being able to see it and feel it, it does two things. One, I have some different design directions here that we could go, which is great. Maybe they like the big video, maybe they don't, whatever. So we could have some conversations around that. But you know what else it does? And I can see this definitely happening here. It could also spark some conversation. I don't know what happened to that thing on the little whatever. It could also spark some conversation in the way of, hey, Mark, actually, we really, really love the hero from 5 here, but we hate the header. So maybe we could use this header instead or something like that. Or maybe we hate the buttons. We don't like the circle buttons, but we really love the hero. You see what I'm saying? Like you just created basically a fucking mega homepage and a mega thing in like literally. I'm not like this took the back and forth with the index thing. I'll be incredibly generous and say this took an hour. Okay. Cause I don't like when people say things take 5 minutes and they actually take 15. I'll be really generous and say this took an hour. It didn't, but I'll say that. Okay. So that is my point, is like, this is again, a working thought hypothesis, just came up with this today. Okay. But this is the idea, is that now, and again, these are still kind of a little too close for me. I probably could spread it out a little bit more. I didn't give it any like reference inspiration for other websites. So that's kind of on me, but like, it's a place to start at an incredibly low cost, like from time and energy spent. And when I thought about this, I was like, wait a second, let me actually back up real quick. I didn't start here. I signed these projects about a week ago. And I got another one right here. Look, same thing. I'm going to use this every single project, this style of thing, every single project. Again, some of these are kind of similar too. They wanted videos on their home pages and shit, right? So it's like, that's why everything has a video. It's really cool that you could see the videos in here. That was pretty fucking sick. But, I honestly lost my thought there. What was I going to say? Oh, where I started. Sorry. Where I started actually was I had all the context. It was literally in emails and Drive and everything. I said, "Hey, Claude," right? I said, "Hey, Claude, give me, like, I have 2 things here. You know the deals, you know the information, everything like that. You have the recording from our conversation where we talked about all this. Take that, take the information that they had, that they gave me for, you know, images and certain stuff. Also take into account the things that are on their current website, and then bring all of that together. And I literally had it make me, I'm not kidding, because I needed to work on it the other day. And I was like, I just rolled the dice and I was like, hey, I know that I want to build this in Astro. I don't know what I want to do in the back end yet, but you can see everything that's happening here. Go build this with all the context so I can review it and just get like a vibe, right? Because it's very hard to start from zero, right? So I can get a vibe and maybe we change everything. Go build it with Astro. Push it to GitHub, deploy it on Cloudflare, and let me see what you can do. Sometimes you got to run experiments like that. Worked brilliantly. It got deployed. I think this is actually the one that it came up with at first, right? This is actually the one that it came up with. Pretty good. I mean, I think this one is actually a full website. Like it literally came up with everything for this one. And then there's also a counterpart on the other business also has like it came up with it. But then I had the idea of, wait a second, we don't need to build the whole website. And that actually kind of stupid. I mean, we're going to need the whole thing anyway, so whatever. But like, we don't need to build the whole website. We just need to build like the main part of the web, like just the homepage, like I said, and variants of it. So then we can, have like these visuals, and then I can go to the client and be like, hey, let's just talk about it. What do you like? What do you not like? Do you hate all of them? I'm sure there's some certain things you like about them, and then go from there and record that conversation and then bring that back into Claude. You got to be asking the right questions. I'm going to be honest, even thinking about this now, like to me, you know, worst case scenario, doomsday thing, it sounds like that's still too easy. There's a lot of steps in there that I'm glossing over as far as like making sure you're understanding and organizing your context, but all this stuff starts to layer together. Okay. I don't know if you're starting to understand it. Like the reason the AIOS thing is powerful is because like everything is in here and everything's getting dumped into here, regardless if you fucking want to use Hermes or whatever the fuck else. It doesn't matter. It's all in here. It's getting more powerful. Also, like all of the data that you have stored elsewhere, if it's in Google Drive or whatever, I would argue you want to have the least amount of fucking things possible, the least amount of like vectors possible, but that's on you. Do whatever you want. Like it keeps growing. It keeps getting better. So like if you don't start something like this, it's just going to take you longer to get better to like that level of like context and things that you have. I was really confused by this for a long time too, by the way. Like I thought like I needed to have every bit of context being loaded all the time. That's not it. You just need to have it organized somehow. And that's why like files are like the easiest thing to do. But yeah, I mean, that's it. Would you pay thousands to a person who's doing a job via AI without personal touch? Be honest. I don't, people ask the same thing about WordPress back in the day. I don't know what to tell you other than those websites are $5,000 each. And then I'm building another platform for like a CRM leads due diligence platform, and proposal generator for $9,500. So, like I like your question. Like I appreciate that question. And I think that might be a question that we have to continue to think about long-term, but I think that literally the act of asking that question is costing you money, like truthfully. And I'm not trying to be like the big dick fucking YouTube guy, because I'm not. I probably have like 6 people watching this right now. If we have more, thank you. But like, I just don't know what else to say about that. Like, I literally don't know. And also, I think you're being, if we were debating this a little bit, I think you're being a little disingenuous about the personal touch thing. Because like, I know that I'm oversimplifying what I'm doing here, but I'm going to get on calls with these people and I'm constantly, this is me. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's not everyone else, but I actually like learning about the business. I love the structure. I love the organization. I love the process. Like I love the process of like understanding a new business, how they work, talking to their employees and getting all that done. That might not be you. I'm not going to say it's not you specifically, but I'm saying like a lot of like web design people, especially if you come from the design background, I'm making it a generalization. It might be a gross generalization, so I do apologize. But I'm going to assert and hypothesize, I guess those are, not the same word. I'm going to hypothesize that a lot of design oriented people don't come from a mindset of this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and then this happens, and then we get money, and then we nurture, and then we do this and we do that. I'm a crazy ops guy. Like I haven't been great about it because my limiting factor was that I still try to do everything by myself. And when you try to do everything by yourself without AI, pre-AI, and you don't have a team, it's a fucking nightmare. But with AI, it's pretty fucking good if you can manage all of it, which I've been doing well. So my point is that that's my hypothesis about that. And maybe I'm mislabeling you there, Mac. But my thing is that the personal touch is not always just design related. And again, I really believe this, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off constantly for the next fucking 5 years. Websites are not special. Like they're really not in a lot of ways. Like I've built websites for 7 years. They're not like inherently special. You could make some of them special. You could win some design awards if that's what you want to do. But even the guys that tell you like they're not winning design awards, like good websites, most of the time, they're not going to win like design awards. I don't love that idea always because like I think it would be cool to make like some stuff that's a little bit more off the wall, especially now that we can a lot easier. But I don't feel like I don't know what to say other than the fact that like if you have good relationships with people and you can show value and you literally know more than them, then you can charge. First of all, there's no rules. You can charge whatever you want. But it's also not like it's really not like I'm doing a whole lot less work. I'm doing less manual work, but I still have to gather context, I still have to ask the right questions. I still have to provide business consultation and advice. And I really don't think we should undervalue that. If we start undervaluing that, I mean, the market isn't going to undervalue that, but if we start undervaluing that as individuals, we're going to probably have some issues and we're probably not going to get to where we want to be because that is valuable. And I'm starting to learn that more and more every day. And I don't know the businesses that you guys deal with, but the businesses that I deal with, I love them dearly because they pay me, and they're good people, but they don't fucking know anything about this. Okay. The last thing I want to say, and then I'm sure there's some comments back in the chat, but the last thing is like, be very careful. Okay. This is advice, but you can take it or leave it. Be very careful with what I say and with what other people say and anybody on YouTube. I'm going to tell you very personally. Okay. Take it or leave it. I have watched in the last 10 years of my life, we'll say, I watched so much YouTube. I didn't watch TV. I watched YouTube. I watched business shit, marketing shit, finance shit, AI shit, WordPress shit, all this stuff, right? You could go back in the timeline and see when I watched all that. The period where the least amount of YouTube was consumed by me, the last like 3 months. And I've realized that like, if I actually want to make money, and this isn't good for me to say this because you're literally watching me right now. So I appreciate this, but I'm trying to be honest with you. Like there's a difference between watching it and like really consuming it. But like the reason I'm using that as the example is because I've learned that I need to be in the sphere, but I can't be so deep in the bubble or in the sphere that I literally forget what the fuck is going on outside. If I'm so deep in, and this literally happened to me inside of WordPress when I was delving into this for the last 2 fucking years of like trying to figure out the apparatus of fucking automatic that's literally understandable. Like I was in there and I literally lost the plot entirely. It was cool. It was fun. I don't regret it. I don't regret, hanging out and chatting with everyone, but I lost the plot. The plot is to provide for my fucking family and to like actually make money and serve clients. If you want to be a service business, your clients, most of them, I'm going to generalize and say a lot of the clients that we probably have are businesses that are literally running engineering companies, fucking restaurants, accountants, maybe not, I don't know, mom and pop shops, like random shit. They don't fucking know anything about this. They don't even know, they barely know how to market their shit, let alone how to automate anything. So when we like, to me, just the last thing about the question, the personal touch thing, I get where you're coming from. I just think that a lot of times we are over indexing on the shit that they actually probably don't care as much about. I'm not saying design shouldn't be maybe a little bit more personal and all that sort of shit. I'm saying that in the list of priorities with these people, that is probably pretty fucking far down the list as far as like where it actually moves the needle for them. And I've never really been this type of guy. I do have to attribute some like of my YouTube knowledge over the last like year or so to like some of this knowledge and stuff to like some of the stuff I've watched, because I have just realized that and you're gonna hate this, I thought that the stuff that I was doing was more valuable than it was in certain ways. Like I would have tried, if I was in WordPress and I was trying to build these sites manually, I would have tried to sell these sites. I'd have been like, literally, I would have been thinking about how much to price these, and I've been like, this is gonna take so fucking long, and I'm gonna hate this. And it's not even gonna move the needle for them because they're not gonna do any fucking marketing or anything like that. I need to charge them $10,000 plus for this website, for this fucking 5-page website. That's not reality. Nobody wants to pay that for these fucking websites. Unless, God bless you if you can charge $10,000 for these types of websites. They're too, is easy the right word? They're too attainable. Like it's too attainable. That one of those clients there, they sent me a fucking Replit website. Like, guys, we're almost there. Like, it's literally almost there. A non-technical founder already thinks that they could build this shit. They thought it back in the Wix days. They just didn't want to dick around with it. Now it's like even less. What the fuck are we even talking about at this point? Seriously. Like, why are we even thinking that we should be doing certain bits of this stuff overly manually and over engineering certain stuff, or over indexing on the stuff that isn't going to move them? You can disagree with it. I'm happy to go back and forth with it. But I'm literally learning it now. It's like, they don't care. They need a website. They know it needs to represent their brand. Cool. If it's been a few years, like in these cases, okay, let's get a new one. Great. Let's not break the bank. All right. Because you're not a $1 trillion fucking business. Let's not break the bank. Let's go spend some money elsewhere. Maybe if you want to do some marketing or whatever, we could do that. Honest to God, in my mind, you guys all need fucking AI in your business because you're doing way too much manual shit. You're hiring people to do fucking like literal grunt work. You don't need any of that stuff. Like, what are we, I mean, you know, I'm saying the general you here, I'm not talking to anybody specific. If you want to be a web designer and you want to stay there and you want to be that, I'm sure there's a strategy for that. I'm just not doing that anymore. Like, I'm not going to be just a web designer and literally bet my entire family's existence on putting widgets on a fucking page builder. I'm not doing that anymore. That seems like a bad play to me in 2026 and beyond. I'm not saying I'm not going to help with that. I'm not saying I'm not going to take those deals. I'm just not going to do it like that anymore. It's literally become a foot in the door thing to me in some ways. And not always, because bigger clients, which like, tell me if you guys are selling websites for $80,000, $100,000, because I know people that are selling it for that, and they're fucking concerned. Okay, so I'm literally consulting with a company that does that, and they're concerned, and they want to do this. Okay, so if they're like, you know, now we're at the point where it's like we fantasize and we hypothesize about every fucking client avatar that like we've never worked with. And now I actually, as an example, have experience with those clients, like as a pass-through, as a secondary, right? Or a tertiary or whatever. And I know that there's pressure on those agencies to provide more for less and to go faster for less. Because how do you think a fucking $50 million company, $100 million company in some non-technical industry, what do you think they get all the time? AI. If you guys want to have an anti-AI conversation, that is separate from everything we're talking about here. Like, but you know, all right. So rant over there. Sorry about that, but I think I'm pretty happy with what I tried to convey there, even though it was a little long-winded. So, I mean, again, no harm, no foul, no ill will on any of that. I don't care really what any of you guys do. It's just like, I still think like, I think we're over indexing on that personal touch comment. I really do. Agree. But in WP AI, before AI, I gotta read all the chat now. Hang on a second. Did it manually converting Figma design after clients at themselves? What are they getting now? Something average. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, unless you think that everything comes out of AI is like average. I mean, AI in itself is average, but like y- you're the catalyst to make it better. Absolutely, brother. Thank you for asking the question. I hope you don't think I wasn't coming at you there. I was getting passionate just on in general. I wasn't when I was saying you, I didn't mean you. So I really appreciate the question. I'm always happy to give my thoughts, and I'm not always right. So I could be completely fucking wrong. Okay, we talked about that. Um, yeah, I would just there are a lot that are the same. I would just be careful with that. Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of probably already got to this point through this chat. I didn't read it all yet, but the one thing I would just say about this is like you are actually right. Like if I just say like, hey, make me a web app, it's gonna default to the worst shit possible. But let me make one more micro point here. Okay, again, it's not at Mac here; it's just in general. I just want to let me just try to interpret what I see going on in AI conversations. So I gotta go soon, I think, because my wife needs to go to an appointment. Okay. Um, but let me try to think. Let me interpret what I hear. Okay, maybe it's different, but here's what I hear. I see talented devs, designers, whoever, right? Talented professionals. They put in hours and hours and hours of effort into project A, and then they are like, I'm so proud and so happy that I converted for my client, did all this manual work and did this. Fantastic. Fantastic. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. Then AI comes along. AI enters. And AI does 80% of the work in a fucking fraction, a percentage of the time, like literally 1/10 of the time or something. And then the devs are mad because then, well, they're confused at first. Like the professionals are confused a little bit at first about this because like, what the fuck, that can do that? Okay, so then they look at it and they're already pissed because and this isn't I'm not complaining about anybody. I'm just trying to interpret it. Then they're pissed though because people make it seem like, oh fuck, we don't need software devs anymore. Fuck them, whatever. I hope I've never given that impression. You probably think I have, but I'm not saying we don't need software devs. I'm saying that we should all be empowered by this. But anyway, so then so then they're like pissed because they feel like, oh fuck you, I don't need software. And I get it because like clients can be a pain in the dick when they say, oh I don't need you anymore, or like you can do this real fast because you have AI now, right? It's like that becomes a harder conversation. You got to like massage this and you got to like actually educate, which is difficult when people feel like they don't need you or your service is cheap. I understand. I'm empathetic to it. That said, complaining about it, whining about it, I don't really like that as a solution. I like trying to actually figure out the solution. So then, okay, so they're pissed. So then it's funny because this is where the bubble comes into play. It's like when you're talking to somebody on X, you're not talking to any fucking person that's going to pay you any money for your service. You might be talking to somebody that's going to pay you for like coaching, maybe if you're that type of person, but you're not talking to anybody that's fucking going to pay you for your service 90% of the time. You're talking to somebody that's like literally like you or like on your trajectory or ahead of you. It's not like your client who's in a totally different lane. So then they get pissed and then they get mad at the people that are using it, that are using the AI, and sometimes they get mad at non-technical people that are using it because they feel like they're taking their skills or whatever. But in reality, okay, and I wish to God that I was a trained developer with the mindset that I had, because then I would have had an easier way of explaining this right off. I am highly technical. You might not think that maybe from the shit you've seen. I'm highly technical. I went to school for like computer engineering, computer science, whatever. I didn't do it out of college because I didn't want to be there all fucking day. Okay. I didn't want to do that. But I know that shit back then. I didn't know every bit of syntax. I lost the syntax, but I've always been a systems guy and a process guy and everything like that. If you can do that, and you understand them, you're highly technical. You're way higher technical than everyone else, okay? Than the average person. And if you are, and you understand that, and you actually give a fuck about how the systems, how LMs actually work and how they're not magic and how they're not fucking like doing everything actually like for you in a sense. They are autocomplete, but they can synthesize information very well and do that, then you're going to be on a great path. But like what happens there sometimes is that something happens there and it's It's like this thing just did 80% of my job in a fraction of the time, and I am gonna move the goalpost and be like, no, it's actually not perfect because I have to because it's like it's really weird. I gotta think of a good way to think about this. It's like this thing didn't do my job that I took fucking 400 hours to do in one prompt, so it fucking sucks. It only did 80% of what I wanted to do, and it made the buttons a gradient purple and blue in one prompt, so it fucking sucks. Like, that's literally what I hear. That's what I hear. That's how I interpret that. And I'm like, that is such a strange argument to make. And I'm not sure how to help you. So that's totally fine. Like, if you're cool with that, then do your thing, please, by all means. But that's the way that I hear it. That's literally what I hear, is that I don't know. I don't know how, and I try to like, last thing about the personal side of it and the interpretation, that I gotta read these comments and get the fuck out of here. But the last thing is like, personally, I'm like, well, I'm empathetic. Like, I understand your situation. I understand your plight. I don't want to, I feel bad. But at the same time, I really think the only solution is to just try to embrace it, because it's not going to go away. It's too powerful. It's actually more beneficial than it is negative in a lot of ways. Everything could be negative for sure, but like, it's not. It would definitely help you. Like, you are a genius at your craft, aren't you? Aren't you a fucking expert? This thing will help you do more work better. Like, if you just do it, you know what I mean? Like, I think of it like now, because I'm actually seeing it with these workflows. I think of, okay, I'm not an editor. Okay. I'm not a podcast editor. However, I absolutely could take those 4 files that I talked about earlier, my intro file, and the clips and whatever. And I could take them all into DaVinci, dump them in the media thing, and then spread them out, and then cut them, and then do whatever. Right. I've been a content creator for a while. Like, I could do that. I'm not an editor. I don't see myself as one, but I could definitely do that. Okay. Well, wait a second. If I could explain the pipeline and have Claude do that for me, or, XYZ LLM, deterministically go through that, and, and sprinkle in the AI here and there, then wait a second, it did most of the work for me. And I could just review what it did and tell it why it's a fucking idiot in certain cases, and tell it to fix it, or manually adjust it myself if I really had to in that case. Right. So my thing is, like, I don't know why. Well, I actually understand why. I guess I understand why, like, a lot of software devs like hate this, because they really loved coding, and now it's like taking that away from them. So I'm empathetic to that. I just feel like that's like a different problem. And last thing, that's actually a different conversation depending on who you're talking to, because I understand if you're a dev working at a job and that's all you do and you love coding and you have nothing else. But if you're somebody that is asking the question at all, like if you are even business curious, right? Like if you're entrepreneur curious, you can't think like that. Like, you literally can't. And this is the thing that I see. I know people that work at FANG companies, and they're being forced to use fucking AI, and they don't even code anything anymore. They just quality check everything. And it's like, I get that. I'm empathetic to it. But like, but if you were already on the entrepreneurship path, or you're trying to get down it, I'm telling you, like, I'm not the best business person, but you can't be thinking about, like, when something like this happens, you can't be thinking about how, like, your love for this one manual piece of the process is gonna anchor down the entire evolution of what you're doing and how much money you're trying to make, or just if you're trying to have a successful business at all. And this is why you see so many non-technical, which pisses me off too, honestly. No, like, all these completely non-technical entrepreneur founders of random fucking things building all this shit. And yeah, most of it probably kind of sucks in some ways. It's probably going to continue to get better though, because the AI is just going to, like, realize that this guy's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Let me try to make this thing a little bit better for him. So I don't know what to say. These are hard problems. My wife is calling me, so I got to rip through these comments. But yeah, so yeah, we've been going for a while, Rob. Lots of rants here. You know what else looks like? Same, a few exceptions. All websites made by humans for AI. That's a fucking great point. Yeah. Always good to sign fads for our website. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, I don't know. There's definitely trends. I think just it's crazy how much, like, in some ways, like weird ways, like AI has just made human behavior even more, like, noticeable for some people, like, in my opinion, in some ways. So yeah. The videos used for ACF were gold mark. They helped me a lot. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, John. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've enjoyed that. Obviously, I've kind of moved slightly from that, but I'm always the, you know, the system back then dynamic data guy. That was the thing that resonated the most with me, at least. Work with me. I can help you fire most of your staff. You know, that's not the goal. The goal is to help the staff ascend into other things and become orchestrators. But I don't know. If something happens to AI, let's say a bubble where they raise the subscription price to get out of the losses, then what should clients do? Who's going to edit a bunch of AI code? Well, if you're going to go with the price argument, local AI would be my next step. If you're going to go with a bunch of AI code, if you're arguing from the software development perspective, which it possibly sounds like you are, you should be rooting for this, because then you would make a lot of money fixing a lot of AI shit. So I'm actually totally fine with that. And I will hit you up when that happens. That's not a cop-out answer. I literally don't know the answer to that question. I'm not going to edit the AI code. Yeah, you're totally right. Maybe I'll go be a plumber or something. I don't fucking know. I'm wondering about CSS frameworks. Do we invest in LTD for a framework now and then 2 years frameworks are a thing of the past, or you just pay the new annual fee and see what happens? I haven't thought about a CS framework in fucking months. So don't follow me, because of that. You know what I mean? Like, don't follow my lead because of that. Yeah, I don't know. If I had a CSS framework, the only CSS framework that I ever purchased was ACSS. And I did see the utility at the time. That is probably, I'll say one quick thing. That concept of like frameworks and processes within bigger process like that is something that I'm going to have to deal with. I already have it in these micro processes in the pipeline. I'm going to have to deal with that, especially in that consulting situation that I'm dealing with, because that would be a huge change in in their workflow. And I would also have to do it in mine. So like today, when I showed the whole first design look thing, I'm going to have to build that process out a little bit. The whole design dev process out on this side of things, but I'm sure somebody's already built it, because less layers of abstraction generally lead to like simpler processes is kind of one way that I would think about that. Yeah. Marco over AI systems live update in his business yet? AI systems live updates in business. I mean, I did talk about it. Yeah. I talked about the state reconciler. So basically every single night, via the AIOS, it goes through all the context. There's literally no magic to what I'm about to say. It goes over, it looks in my email. This is via API or MCP. It looks in my email because it has access to everything. It looks in my ClickUp DMs. It looks in Slack DMs, whatever the fuck you want to hook up. And then it looks at everything. And then I have projects. I have like current deals and everything like that. And it, yeah, look, real quick. Look, so it like projects, deals, follow-ups, all this sort of stuff. All this stuff is, by the way, it's in demo data mode because I had it alias everything. So I can show you kind of how more of it looks now. These are not real clients, right? So it has all of this, and then it creates all of this. And like for the deals or anything, like if there's been any information that has passed here, then it automatically, these are my testimonials, but like it automatically updates everything, like all the projects and everything like that. It'll automatically update everything. So that's the best way that I can describe that in 2 seconds. But I did talk about that a little earlier. It's just a state reconciler here. Reconstruct the last 24 hours from email, ClickUp, and everything like that. And then kind of does it. So it's honestly a work in progress, but like it's updating all of that stuff like as I'm, going through each time. Really got to go here. James said we don't need software devs anymore. Burn them at the stake. Security office first year of the university made me a criminal code in Canada and said, don't hack other students' accounts ever again. That's funny. Da, da, da. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I haven't, so I haven't used them, the CSS frameworks or something. James says they're already gone, so it's, fuck it. Thank you, Toxic Anta. Appreciate you. I would probably recommend looking at any of the content or reading the description of the channel. Not just for this channel, but any channel. Technically, generally, that's where you find that information. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I really gotta go watch my son, and he's tiny, so he needs my help. Thank you guys very much, as always, for being here. A lot of great interactions today. Thank you so much. If you want to join Modern Builder Society in the community, links down below. If you want to work together, there's links down there as well. We're just going to keep going. We're going to keep building. I'll keep telling you about the process too. Again, I'm literally building 2 websites right now. So if you're still building websites, a lot of stuff, I'm going to have to update my processes and things. So I'll share those with you, and especially share more in detail on in the community. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you in the